Man is a microcosm, or a little world, because he is an extract from all the stars and planets of the whole firmament, from the earth and the elements, and so he is their quintessence, Paracelsus. Greetings and salutations, mortals. A top of the morning to you all. I am your host, Simeon, and if you are hearing this, then you just entered the Twilight Zone, some call the Library of Gnosis. Alchemists adopted the theory of the four elements canonized by Aristotle. But they claimed to possess a deeper philosophical knowledge than that ordinarily available to scholastic scholars, which had been gained by observing and experimenting with the elements in the laboratory. This pursuit of new knowledge, founded on direct observation of and experimental intervention in the physical world, is made explicit in this plate from the alchemical treatise Splendor Solis in the motto on the long banner, "Let us go and seek the nature of the four elements." These experimental investigations eventually gave rise to the positing of Tria Prima, 3 primes, which coexisted and competed with the Aristotelian four elements in Paracelsian alchemy theory and practice. The pioneering medieval Arab alchemist Jabir ibn Hayyan, or Geber, maintained the four classical elements of air, earth, fire, and water, but added to them 2 new philosophical elements, sulfur and mercury. To these, Paracelsus added a third principle. Sulfur was the combustible element, mercury the fluid and changeable element, and salt the solid, permanent element. He illustrated this theory by burning a piece of wood. The fire was the work of sulfur, smoke of mercury, and the residual ash of salt. Human beings were organized in an analogous fashion. Salt corresponded to the body, mercury to the spirit, the source of imagination, moral judgment, and the higher mental faculties, and sulfur to the soul, the seed of emotions and desires. In alchemy, spirit, mercury, is fluid, changeable, and connects the material salt or body with the immaterial sulfur or soul. It includes mental faculties, but also imagination, breath, and even life force. Many traditions, from Neoplatonism to Hermeticism, viewed spirit as an energetic force that moves between higher and lower realms, influencing thought, but not being limited to rational cognition. This image shown here attempts to reconcile the four elements and the Tria Prima graphically, through the kind of imagery fundamental to alchemical thought and practice. The 3 vertices of the triangle represents the Tria Prima: soul, anima, spirit, spiritus, and body, corpus. The 4 corners of the square contain symbols of fire, air, water, and earth. The 7 points of the star contains the symbols of the 7 planets. If we were to journey from Earth, Gaia or home, outwards past the moon, towards our central life-giving sun, the first wandering star we would happen upon is the sensual Venus, representing salt, body, and emotion, because it is the body that feels the emotions. The heart, not the mind. Among the Gnostic Knights Templar, this planet often represented Sophia, which you might connect to the Holy Spirit in the Christian Trinity. Though obviously I'm not a Trinitarian in the common use of that word, I think it is still useful. As we proceed on our journey towards the solar mysteries, next appears Mercury, the Good Shepherd, the fluid, flying and traveling spirit and mind, which connects the sensual and material Venus, salt or body, with the fiery and immaterial sun, sulfur or soul, acting as a bridge spanning the gap between the two planes and celestial bodies. We should recall that just like Mercury, both Michael and Jesus were psychopomps, whose responsibility it is to escort the newly deceased souls from Earth to the afterlife. In alchemy, Mercury, or spiritus, is the volatile, living principle, the force that animates and transcends. It is both the messenger and the mediator, moving between the heavens and the earthly plane. Wine, as the symbolic blood of Christ, aligns with this concept. It is not merely a drink, but a spiritual substance, fermented through time and process, representing both sacrifice and renewal. Just as Mercury is ever-shifting, dissolving, and coagulating in the great work, so too does Christ's blood, wine, signify the eternal movement between death and rebirth, matter and spirit. Wine, like Mercury, is a dissolver of boundaries. It unbinds rigid structures, making way for transformation. Jesus' words, "Do this in remembrance of me," suggest an alchemical process within the self, a way of partaking in the divine fluidity that Mercury embodies. To drink the blood of Christ is to imbibe the Mercurial essence, to dissolve the old and be reborn in spirit. The Eucharist, then, is not just a ritual, but an alchemical act, the consumption of spirit, the transmutation of self. Wine, as Christ's blood, is a mercurial agent in the spiritual transformation of the self, mirroring the alchemical process of solvi et coagula, dissolve and reform. The god Ra is the sun which sends down energy to earth, whilst God is the hidden light which cannot be seen with the physical eyes, because it is pure energy. Ra is the visible light placed at the center of our solar system. The sun is an image of God, and as God gives life to the whole universe, so the sun gives life to the animals and plants of the earth. The light of the sun nurtures nature in the same way that the light of God nurtures our souls. The Hermetica, the lost wisdom of the pharaohs. Thoth may have been created by Ra, Atum, and Khepri, as he once declared, "I am Thoth, the eldest son of Ra, whom Atum has fashioned, created from Khepri." Khepri was the sun at dawn, Horus the midday sun, and Atum the setting sun. Khafre is derived from the Egyptian language verb khefer, meaning to develop or create. Khafre can also be spelled Khefer, which is the Egyptian term used to denote the sun god, the scarab beetle, and the verbs to come into existence or to be born. The exact linguistic origin for the name of Ra is debated, but it is derived from the Egyptian word Ri-ah, which directly translates to sun or day. He was believed to have ruled as the first pharaoh of ancient Egypt. He was the god of the sun, order, kings, and the sky. The sun at midday is the king crowned at his prime. The corona is the sun's outer atmosphere. It is visible during total eclipses of the sun as a pearly white crown surrounding the sun. I hope mentioning that word does not get my video flagged or something. What a time to be alive. Anyways, Adam's name is thought to have been derived from the verb tum, which means to complete or to finish. Thus, he has been interpreted as being the complete one, and also the finisher of the world, which he returns to watery chaos at the end of the creative cycle. As creator, he was seen as the progenitor of the world, the deities, and the universe, having received his vital force, or Ka. Atum is the all-encompassing author of entirety, weaving everything into the fabric of reality. Because creation is visible, we can see the Creator, and this is the purpose of his creation. Since he is always creating, he can always be seen. So we should think and marvel, and realize that we are blessed with the knowledge of our Father. To know Atum's being, contemplate him in thought. To see him with your eyes, look at the exquisite order of the cosmos, the necessity which governs everything you perceive, the goodness of all that has been, and that is coming to be. Look at matter filled full of life, and see Atum pulsating with all he contains. Contemplate the cosmos as his ancient body, which is ever prime and new. See the planets circling in eternal time. See the spiritual fire of the heavens turn to light by the sun, and shed as a goodness upon the world. See the ever-changing moon, which governs birth, growth, and decay. See the constellation of the Bear, which never rises or sets, but stays ever a fixed point, an axle around which the circle of the zodiac revolves. See the comets which are called prophet stars, for when some future fate awaits the world, they emerge for a few days from their invisible home below the circle of the sun. Who is it that maintains such exquisite order? The sun is the greatest god in the heavens, a king to whom all the others pay homage. Yet this mighty god humbly submits to have smaller stars circle above him. Who is it that he obeys with awe? Each star travels its appointed range of space. Why don't all the stars run the same course? Who is it who has assigned to each its place? The bear revolves around herself and carries around with her the whole cosmos. Who is it that appointed her this task? Who is it that fixed the earth and confined the sea within its shores? Someone must be the maker and master of all this. It couldn't just happen. All order must be created. It is only that which is out of measure which is accidental. Yet, even disorder is subject to the master, who has yet to impose order upon it. If only it were possible to grow wings and soar into the air, poised between heaven and earth. You would see the solid ground, the flowing rivers, the wandering air, the penetrating fire, the circling stars, and the encompassing heavens. What joy to see all this, borne along by the one impulse, to perceive the unmoved mover moving in all that moves. He who is hidden manifests through all his works. The Hermetica, the lost wisdom of the pharaohs. Khepri could be equated with the body, as that foundation needs to be laid before the mind and the soul can enter into it. The matrix and womb we live in. Ra would then be the mind as the seat of the ordering principle. And finally, Atum would be the soul as the return to the source, and perhaps even the beginning of a new cycle at a higher level. As a god of time, mind or Mercury being placed in the middle is fitting. Even looking at depictions of him, we see him portrayed in all three stages of a human life. As an innocent babe, as a mature man in his prime, and as an old, wizened hermit at the end of his life. Everything in the cosmos is constantly changing. Things are born, pass away, and come into existence again, like old plants dying each winter, to return as new shoots each spring. All these changes, however, are governed by unchanging natural laws. In this way, therefore, it could also be said that the cosmos is essentially changeless. Time regulates the natural processes of change in the cosmos. It is measured by the recurring cycles of the stars and the sun, which revolve in fixed and permanent orbits. Unlike our modern picture of time as a straight line from the past to the future, Hermes sees time as a circle. We too actually measure time in circles, however. A day is a circle of time, which begins again when the sun rises each morning. The year is a circle of time measured by the Earth's orbit around the sun. Vaster circles of time are expressed by the movements of the constellations of the stars. All of these cycles eventually bring things back to where they started. It is impossible to say where that is, however, for a circle has no starting point. You cannot say where it begins and where it ends. Hermes ultimately points to a deeper understanding of time. The past has gone and does not exist. The future has yet to happen and does not exist. The present moment passes so quickly that it has no permanence. Before we have even said now, the moment has gone. We can never catch the present. So in what way could it be said to exist? This mystical insight into the illusory nature of time is a way to glimpse the oneness of God, who exists beyond time. For God there is no past, present and future, only eternity. Freeing ourselves from the illusion of time is yet another way we can experience God. The Hermetica, the lost wisdom of the pharaohs. Well, now we are nearing the end of this cycle. Or is it the start? Greetings and salutations. Anyways, if you made it this far into the broadcast, then right, the world keeps spinning, so I know you did. If you enjoyed it, then feel free to become a member, either here on YouTube or Patreon, where you get ad-free videos, which include scripts with sources linked. Smite that like button, and I will be seeing you in the next cycle, mortals.